Another day, another Helldivers 2 tier list, but this time I painstakingly tried every single support weapon against both factions, and at times it wasn't easy, but overall it was honestly a lot of fun doing it. So if you want to come watch me create these guides and tier lists live, be sure to turn on notifications for when I do go live on this YouTube channel. So we have to start by going over my tier list for each faction because I don't do S tier through F tier. The main focus of my tier list is splitting up the support weapons into groupings to kind of explain better what they're good at, and then I heavily focus on rating things from left to right rather than top down. You know, a perfect squad against bugs may have 1 to 2 anti-tank players, an all-rounder player, and then even one person bringing a bile spewer and mobbing weapon is honestly pretty good for the team. When it comes to bots, on the other hand, I think Armor Pierce 4 is the best style of support weapon. That is the Autocannon, laser cannon, anti-material rifle, and the HMG, but there is heavy utility with bringing some anti-tanks, which we will obviously explain once we get to those, and anything below that for bots is less appealing, so really these top 2 tiers are the best, but you can somewhat run some of these lower tiers. Now, the one other thing I want to mention about Armor Pierce 4 over Armor Pierce 5 weapons is that every single bot, including the Factory Strider, can be taken down with only Armor Pierce 4, so it's much better overall to mostly bring these weapons because they generally just have more ammo and more usage against the bots, and then you can even use them against Devastators in most cases. Now, lastly, be sure to check out our free video game giveaway of your choice via Instant Gaming. Click the link in the description to enter for free, and click the other link if you're looking to buy any games at a discounted rate. My friend Bird messaged me when I partnered with Instant Gaming and told me he was ecstatic because he's saved over 1,500 euro in the past 7 years using that website, and he even says that they are the GOAT. So let's dive on into the rankings. First up is the Stalwart. This is the king of killing hunters, and I know people love this gun because it's so damn fun, but I genuinely think this is the bottom tier of usable weapons against bugs. Now listen guys, I'm all about fun factor on my channel. When I'm streaming, I always tell people they could use whatever they want. Be sure to pick the weapon you have the most fun with. And I even try all kinds of different loadouts and bad guns just for the heck of it and trying to make it work. But really, when it comes down to the Stalwart, if you end up getting a bile spewer map, you will find yourself pulling out your Dominator much more than you're using the Stalwart, so I really can't rank it higher than average in good faith. Against bots, on the other hand, it is pretty much unusable. It pretty much just kills small bots, and if you happen to hit the eyes of Devastators, but otherwise I would not bring this against bots at all. Now next, we've got the medium machine gun, the first machine gun you unlock in the game. For bugs, I personally rate this slightly higher than the Stalwart because it has a nice punch to it, it kills brood commanders faster, it can actually shoot hive guards in the face, and it can kill bile spewers as long as you land headshots. But I know I can see some of you arguing that the Stalwart's better against bugs because of the mobile reload and the bugs always W key you. And I think that's fine. In general, I'm putting these both right next to each other down in the subpar tier. Both of these guns are pretty usable, so they are probably going to stay near the top of the subpar tier. And I think the medium machine gun was very usable with the Eruptor, but that's just my opinion. If you guys want to reverse these placements based on your opinion, that's perfectly fine. Against bots, on the other hand, the medium machine gun is actually the Stalwart for this faction. So if you're a Stalwart lover against bugs, try out the medium machine gun against bots. In general, this mobbing tier is not that great because tons of Hulks spawn on Helldive, and most of these mobbing weapons you will see are not really great at killing Hulks. But the same could be said for the Stalwart against a ton of bugs, so if you willingly are bringing, you know, kind of a weaker machine gun for the fun of it, I really recommend trying the medium machine gun out against bots. It'll do much better than you expect. All right, now for the HMG. The HMG against bugs is horrendous. It has Armor Pierce 4, but that doesn't really matter for most bugs because the big bugs are Chargers and Bile Titans. And the thing about the heavy machine gun is, since it doesn't really deal with any of those big bugs that well, it also just only has 75 in the mag, so all of the small bugs W keying you just absolutely crush you, and this gun has a freaking 5 or 6 second reload. It's pretty horrendous against bugs. Now against bots, on the other hand, this gun is a bit underrated, but I also think it's a bit misused, and let me explain why. So this gun is pretty powerful against bots, but I think the fact that it's a machine gun and the fact that your brain tells you to spam this thing is kind of not, you know, it's a bit misleading in how you're supposed to use it. Really, what you're supposed to use this gun for is to specifically save it for larger targets. So the Hulks, the Factory Striders, and the gunships. The heavy machine gun technically has probably like either the fastest or second fastest kill on Factory Striders, easily aiming this gun at the eyeball in front of its head. Of course, you can go underneath and take it out from the hatch. So the power of this weapon is there. It's just the small magazine and the large reload, and that's why I say don't just spray this at anything. Save it for the real targets that you need to take down fast. Now, against Hulks and against gunships, I run this on the lowest RPM because I want to be more accurate and I really don't want to waste my 75 bullets. But if I do see a Factory Strider, I swap it over to the highest RPM to take him out fast. And like I said, you mainly want to save the ammo for the biggest targets. So if you basically see a patrol and you think to yourself, hey, I want to go pick a fight and spill some oil, don't start with this gun. Bring a good primary weapon that can handle devastators like the Plasma Punisher or the Dominator, and then when that big ass dumb Flamethrower Hulk wanders over to you, stun him, pull out your HMG, and it's just a few shots to the eyeball. Essentially think of this gun as the gun that you don't want to pick fights with, you want to finish your fights with it. And you can effectively use this a lot better. I don't think it's the best Armor Pierce 4 weapon out of the bunch. It probably is the worst Armor Pierce 4 weapon just because of limited ammo, but it's a lot better than most people think. So moving on to the Flamethrower. Against bugs, there is not much to be said. This is one of the best weapons against bugs. The amount of crazy hordes that get sent your way easily get taken down by the Flamethrower, on top of having like a 2-second charger kill that's easily done with a stun grenade. There's only two downsides to this weapon, and that is Bile Titans and Bile Spewers. This gun obviously can kill Bile Spewers, but you know, since you have to get up close and it doesn't stagger them, sometimes they'll spit on you and kill you. In that case, just swap to your Dominator. And for Bile Titans, throw a couple 500 kgs, easy peasy, lickety split, done just like that. Now for bots, this is absolutely trash tier. Do not use this against bots. However, did you guys know that the Flamethrower can technically kill the Factory Strider pretty fast? But yeah, besides the little fun fact about the Factory Strider, do not bring this gun against bots unless you truly want to do a challenge run to gain yourself some YouTube clout, which honestly, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. Maybe I should do that for a video soon. So now let's talk about the Grenade Launcher. Now the Grenade Launcher is a weapon that you want to bring the supply pack with. This gun technically does require a backpack because it only has 2 spare magazines and they go pretty fast. This is a very solid mobbing and Bile Spewer weapon, as well as being pretty decent at taking out chargers. And I think this tier of weapons is a bit underappreciated, and I'm going to be putting a decent amount of guns in this tier. I think if one person brought guns like this when you are on Bile Spewer maps, obviously you can't tell that before you load in, but in general, this tier of gun is definitely solid for at least one person on the squad to bring. And the Grenade Launcher will kill everything below Bile Titans. It doesn't have the fastest charger kill out of the weapons in this list, so look out for some of the ones we talk about later. On the other hand, against bots, it goes into the mobbing tier. It very easily deals with large groups of devastators, and it can be very nice and very clutch sometimes. Now, my only issue with this mobbing tier is that it's not really that great at dealing with Hulks. You pretty much just have to stun them and get behind them. One thing I'll say about the Grenade Launcher is since you are bringing the supply pack, you will have tons of extra stun grenades to do that. However, it's definitely awkward to try to maneuver behind a Hulk while a bunch of other stuff is shooting at you, and on Helldive difficulty, like, come on, it's just a bit difficult. So I don't necessarily like running these guns, but I will admit that they do have some utility. And pro tip for the Grenade Launcher, be sure to spam the bottom of dropships when they fly in and take out all those hordes before they land. All right, so now for everyone's favorite moody girlfriend of a support weapon, the spear. And I call it the moody girlfriend weapon because it's like when you ask your girlfriend if she's hungry and she says no, but once you bring home the food, she wants half your French fries. With that being said though, obviously the dev said they're working on fixing this, and I believe it's gonna be in the patch this month. But what I will say is that I run the spear pretty often. A couple people who play with me very often, they always bring the spear, and we pretty much never have lock-on consistency against bugs. Maybe it's just because of how much we run it, so we're used to moving around to try to find that spot to lock on. And I'm not going to give you guys any tips about crouching, going prone, changing your reticle color, and pinging. I mean, definitely do all that stuff. The biggest tip I will give is if it's not locking on, completely relocate for a clear shot. And I don't know what to say. We don't have a giant lock-on consistency issue against bugs. Against chargers, we have a pretty cool spear kill technique made by my friend Starman, who always brings this gun. I'm telling you, we always use it, where all you do is you get into the face of the charger and then you aim down so that the rocket, when you shoot it, doesn't go over him. It just lands directly in his face, and it works every single time. It's actually very consistent at killing chargers this way, and it is the most violently explosive and self-harming way to deal with them, but it works. This is going into the anti-tank tier as a solid pick, even in its current state, and once that fix comes out, I think that this take will age well once the rest of you get a consistent use from it. For bots, on the other hand, it did feel a lot more inconsistent on those planets. Now, I think since bots build structures that kind of can block the lock-on, that might be one reason. Another thing about bot planets is that they have a lot of fog, and I do believe it's been confirmed that fog does affect the lock-on of the spear. What I will say though, once they do fix some of the inconsistencies with this weapon, is it is pretty nice for taking out fabricators from a long distance. You can kind of snipe, you know, those single light heavy bases, even medium bases. And this also has a niche use that it takes out the cannon on the top of the fabricator striders. A lot of the times on those defense missions where you're defending your rockets, and I know some of you have, well, we've ran into where the factory striders can just, you know, aim over everything in just one shot and completely grief your mission. A lot of the times one person will bring a spear and snipe off all their turrets, so it actually does have a niche use against bots, and it is decent in those missions. So next we've got the Airburst Launcher, and the Airburst Launcher is really weird because it performed better than I expected, but at the same time I really don't think it's that good. Against bugs, I'm putting it in sub tier, and against bots, I'm putting it above the Stalwart because it's definitely better than the Stalwart. Now, sometimes I shot this gun and got upwards of 19 kills per launch, and that is better than I thought against both factions. That happened to me against both of them. However, I currently don't see a reason to ever bring this over the grenade launcher. The grenade launcher does the same thing, just in a couple shots of your grenade. The thing about the Airburst Launcher though is it doesn't kill devastators, it doesn't kill brood commanders, it doesn't kill some of those medium enemies. Whereas the grenade launcher, it'll kill all the small enemies in a couple grenades, but then the thing is you just keep unloading and then you easily kill the brood commanders and the devastators. The other thing about the Airburst is it requires a backpack and it only has 6 ammo. And it also has a stationary 6-second reload. So with the grenade launcher's required supply pack, at least you get stims and stun grenades out of it. You know, all the cons of the Airburst Launcher, I just really feel that the grenade launcher just soaks up all those cons because you can just keep spamming it. And I just think there's a lot of improvements to going to buffing this weapon. Either make it one-shot devastators and brood commanders more consistently, give it a shorter or a 2-stage reload, give it more ammo. Like, a lot of stuff needs done with this gun to even make it usable, in my opinion. All right, so now on to the Recoilless Rifle, and this is a favorite of mine. I posted a build video showing off a build with a Recoilless Rifle, link in the description. I also posted a solo bug run using the Recoilless Rifle, link in the description for that one. Yes, I said using it solo with its stationary reload. If you learn how to use this gun, you learn how to kite enemies, you learn how to use that 2-stage reload, it is by far the strongest anti-tank launcher against bugs right now. It is at the top of the anti-tank slot for bugs. I will definitely mention its effectiveness goes up with that level 4 superior packaging upgrade where you get max ammo from a resupply, but even without that, I think it's still great. Now for bots, on the other hand, let's talk about where anti-tank launchers really shine, and that is in the defense mission. So I'm also putting it at the top of the armor pierce section for bots. Now at the start of this video, I kind of sold you guys on the idea of bringing armor pierce 4 weapons for the longer bot missions because they can take down factory striders, but they just have way more ammo ammo, meaning they can also take down hulks, devastators, gunships, stuff like that. But the thing about those defense missions, and for that matter, even the retrieve essential personnel mission, but mainly the one where you have to defend your rocket launches, is that you get a mass amount of dropships and you get a mass amount of factory striders and a mass amount of tanks. So bringing armor pierce 5 weapons mainly on those missions is definitely really strong. Now what we'll do is 3 of us bring rocket launchers and then 1 person will bring like an autocannon, because you know, occasionally a hulk slips through that kind of gate. You're trying not to let anything get through. And then usually someone will throw a stun grenade at it and that autocannon dude will just take that hulk out for us. What we do on those missions is we bring really low cooldown mobbing options. So we'll bring mortars, we'll bring eagle airstrikes, we'll bring orbital airburst strike, we'll even bring gas. And then we'll have 2 slots each focused on anti-tank launchers. My 2 favorites for these missions are the Recoilless and the EATs, but you could even bring a Quasar Cannon. Now for the purpose of this video and the background footage, we stress tested the Recoilless Rifle, so we only brought Recoilless rifles. And for factory striders, it is a 2-shot to the eyeball weak point on the face, but if you happen to miss that eyeball, then it is a 4-shot to their heads, and that's why superior packaging, being able to fully resupply this off 1 pack, is amazing. But if you guys are having trouble with those defense missions, then start bringing recoilless rifles. All right, so now for the railgun. I honestly want to put this into the bile spewer / mobbing / okay charger tier, but I do have some thoughts on this weapon. I think this is the worst gun specifically for bile spewers, since you need about a 90% charge to the head to 1-shot them. Otherwise it'll end up being 2 shots, and both of those have to be shot at the head. But the railgun is pretty good at taking out chargers than some of the other weapons in this tier. And there is also a utility to this gun where 1 90% railgun charge shot on a Bile Titan's face will make it so that another one of your teammates only have to shoot 1 rocket at them. So basically 1 EAT or Quasar or recoilless shot, and then 1 90% railgun charge shot. So in teams, you can actually help save your teammates some rocket ammo. There is some utility to this gun, but also keep in mind that Bile Titan heads are so wonky and so buggy, so just shoot a couple charges into their head to kind of guarantee that that 1 follow-up rocket from your teammate will kill it. The railgun's not necessarily in a great state in my opinion. It is a jack of all trades sort of weapon, but it's not really that great against all the different things that bugs throw at you. It's like a B tier at all things rather than an A tier at all things, and that makes it kind of bad. But in team play, if 1 person has this, it can be useful in different situations. It's not horrible, and it probably takes some practice to get good with this and supporting your teammates. And the other thing is definitely stick by a teammate who has a real support weapon. Against bots, on the other hand, I'm not even putting this in the AP 4 or 5 slot. I'm going to be putting it in average. Honestly, I would much rather put it in bad at too much. But technically this gun can safe shot hulks to the eyes, so I'm gonna put it in average. But when I was streaming and playing this weapon, I was telling my chat, we're gonna suffer the second we run into gunships. So what I did to kind of prove this was all 4 of my squad mates, I made us all run railguns, and wouldn't you know it, the game called my bluff and spawned in a gunship lair pretty much when we landed. And we did all have a chance to get our railgun down before those gunships attacked us. But what happened when 4 people with railguns faced some gunships? You guessed it, we lost multiple reinforcements anyway. A 4-man squad all with railguns struggled against gunships. And the other thing about this weapon is it's not very good at killing factory striders either. Even when it comes to devastators, I find that you still have to hit their eye weak point to 1-shot them. Or you could get it to a 90% charge and then shoot them in the chest. So it's really not even the best weapon against devastators either, because it's a single target weapon. I am not putting this gun above average. Honestly, I want to move it down, but I'm going to keep it in average because it probably is the best Hulk killer right now. So on to the anti-material rifle. Against bugs, I'm putting it right below railgun. I think this gun is better against bugs than most people think. It's pretty dang fun to run. Now, what I will say is you definitely want to bring an EATs with you. It does not have the best charger kill, but this gun 1-taps bile spewers to the head. It kills brood commanders, hive guards. It's pretty fun to use, and it's not bad. It's definitely not great. It's not a better option. I'm not necessarily recommending it, but if you like sniping and if you get used to the hip fire shots without a reticle, it actually does shoot very accurately from the hip. You just don't have a reticle, so you got to practice with it a little bit. And sometimes when I want to spice it up, I just bring this with me with an EAT and like a jetpack or something to have some fun, and I do run it in squads. It's honestly pretty decent. But against bots, on the other hand, that's where this weapon shines. You're going to see it's going to be the 2nd best bot weapon in my opinion for longer missions. It kills hulks, it kills gunships, it kills factory striders, and you can also spam it against devastators. Now, I honestly recommend bringing the supply pack with this gun so you can use it more as a primary, and then pick a primary, like honestly an assault rifle, just to spam at all the little guys and take out all the small bots really fast. If you bring a supply pack with the anti-material rifle, you can use that as your main gun for devastators. And you would really just rather have a primary that just kills all the little bots fast, because you don't really want to waste any ammo against them. It's extremely fun, extremely satisfying against bots, especially if you love sniping. Now for the EAT, I'm gonna put this in the utility slot. Now I'm not trying to downplay its anti-tank capabilities at all. I would probably rate it just above the spear, but I think that the EAT is at its peak when you're using it as a utility, when you're using it more as a stratagem rather than a pure support weapon. Like I said, I like to pair this with the AMR against bugs. And I do even think that there's a potential build where you don't bring a support weapon, you just bring the EAT, and then you bring more airstrikes, more defensive options, or even a backpack, and you just go hunting on the minimap for that free support weapon lying around, but you still got the reliable EAT ready to call down at any moment. And that's when I think that the EAT is at peak, when you're using it to supplement a support weapon. So bring a grenade launcher that's really good for bile spewers, but then run the EAT alongside of it. And against bots, it's going to be exactly the same. I'm going to put it in the armor pierce slot above the spear. Now, like I said, in those defense missions, I'll usually bring Recoilless Rifle and an EAT to take down dropships, to take down factory striders. I usually run the EAT as a supplementary stratagem rather than a standalone support weapon. But same thing against bots. If you're in a squad and you don't want to bring a support weapon, hunt for one of the free ones laying around the map, and the support weapons laying around the map are much better against bots, considering you could find an anti-material rifle pretty often, or even a medium machine gun or an arc thrower. And speaking of the arc thrower, onto the arc thrower, against bugs, I just have to put this into subpar. Now, personally, this may have just been due to the bugginess with it right now, but I ran a game with the arc thrower with the laser buddy because I felt that that would probably be the best backpack, and it just didn't feel that great. It was killing chargers slow, and it wasn't really mobbing super hard for me, and that might be due to some of the bugginess and inconsistencies. I will remind you guys, this is on the known issues list. Hopefully this gets fixed in the upcoming patch this month. But I had Esper leave a long comment about this weapon because they said it was S tier and they use it pretty consistently, so I'm going to throw that up on the screen for those of you who want some tips on this weapon. But now let's talk about the arc thrower against bots, and I am going to put this in the bad at too much slot. Now, the devs decided to rework this weapon from launch to lower its fire rate, lower its effective range, but they gave this stagger. And against bots, it had a niche where it could stun lock hulks, and it made them pretty easy to deal with. Now, the thing about the arc thrower is it doesn't kill gunships and it doesn't kill factory striders. And in the last patch, they nerfed Hulk stagger. So the arc thrower no longer staggers hulks. So the one niche it did have, and the whole reason they gave this gun a rework, they took it away. And maybe this was unintended. Maybe they weren't trying to target the arc thrower. They were trying to target different guns because they didn't technically lower the stagger of the arc thrower. They raised the stagger on the Hulk. But all I gotta say to the devs is this is a really weird choice, and why? Just tell me why you do this to my best boy, the arc thrower. So let's move on to the laser cannon. Now the laser cannon against bots, I'm putting as the third best armor pierce 4 weapon. I just posted some laser cannon tips and tricks the other day, calling this gun underrated. And I would like to clear up to some of the people in the comment section of that video, I did not call this the best support weapon against bots. I called it underrated because when I ran a poll, I found out nobody was running this, but this is one of my favorite weapons to bring against bots. Now this gun has armor pierce 4. It has a pretty fast kill on factory striders. It kills gunships pretty fast, and it also kills hulks with a stun grenade. You can also use this against rocket devastators. This thing is pretty dang handy. I can run laser cannon solo, and I've done it on my stream. Now for bugs, on the other hand, we're gonna be putting the laser cannon into subpar, probably between Stalwart and the medium machine gun. Now for those of you who insist on laser maxing, technically I will just say this is a bile spewer weapon. It kills bile spewers pretty fast, but the main reason I'm rating this so poorly against bugs is because bugs throw a ton of enemies at you and they all press the W key. But the laser cannon doesn't have any stagger. So what ends up happening is you get swarmed pretty easily. Now, it's not that it doesn't kill the small bugs that fast. It does kill them relatively quickly, but they just throw so many at you. And the laser cannon's also really bad at killing chargers, and it doesn't do much to Bile Titans. What we're really waiting for is for them to drop Illuminates, because I heard in Helldivers 1 that lasers were really good against that faction. But in the meantime, it's just a bot weapon. Now on to the Autocannon. We're gonna rank this in the #1 slot against bots. Now, not much needs to be said about this. It just goes hard and it has amazing utility. It is at the top of the AP4 slot against bots. So what I really want to focus this section on is talking about how dang good the Autocannon is against bugs. I'm actually putting it at the top of my Bile Spewer, mobbing, and okay at killing chargers tier. Now the Autocannon actually has a pretty good charger kill. You could shoot the charger after it misses a charge 2 times in the back leg and kill it, but otherwise I believe it's just like 4 shots to the booty. And the other thing too is you can actually bounce this from the front under chargers and take them out like that. Now this will take a lot more ammo, but notably it actually kind of it seems like it has a lot of stagger, and it can kind of stun the charger in place. So no matter how you decide to take out your charger, it's pretty comfortable doing so. Now the other thing we really need to talk about is that the Autocannon can kill Shrieker nests from a really safe distance. Now in the background footage I'm showing, we hot dropped and there was a Shrieker nest nearby, so they started spawning, so I don't really have footage of the stealth kill. So I ended up just offloading into the Shrieker nest even though they were spawning at us and coming at us. Point being that the Autocannon takes down Shrieker nests in about 9 shots per hive. It also takes out the Spore Spewer nests. It also kills bug holes. You can also do that terminate illegal broadcast objective. The Autocannon is very good at killing Bile Spewers, has a pretty decent charger kill, not as easy or as fast as the Flamethrower, but it is more than good enough that you're gonna love this gun. On top of that, it takes out the Bile Titan sacks as one of the easiest weapons to do so because it's explosive rounds, meaning it only takes like 2 shots to take out Bile Titan sacks. And again, in this game, my teammates were running the spear, so when they cracked its back armor, I told them not to waste another spear bullet, and I killed the Titans from the armor crack. I think the Autocannon, everyone knows it's good against bots, but it is highly underrated bug weapon, and honestly, I'm gonna be running this gun a lot more when I'm just chilling and fighting bugs or streaming or something. I honestly really enjoyed it. I think if one person on the squad brings the Autocannon while the others bring some anti-tanks and another brings a Flamethrower, they will find themselves thanking the Autocannon player, especially if it's a Bile Spewer map, and just being able to take out Shrieker nests and just being wildly useful. Alrighty, so now for the Quasar Cannon. Now this is gonna be my hottest take. I know I'm gonna catch flack for this, but I'm putting this below the spear against bugs. Now, again, me and my squad run the spear all the time. We don't really have much problem getting the lock-on issues. So for us, the spear works kind of fine against bugs. And what I will say about the Quasar Cannon on Hell Dive difficulty, when you get multiple Bile Titans, or you even just get a single Bile Titan with like 4 to 5 chargers, you will definitely be feeling that 5-second cooldown nerf. And I feel like if you want to take the Quasar Cannon, then you should be running some anti-Bile Titan stratagems like a 500 kg. So the reason I put this at the bottom is because when I run the Recoilless Rifle or I run the spear, I don't bring 500 kg. You know what I do? I bring 3 mobbing stratagems because I rely on my Recoilless Rifle or my spear to take out any Bile Titans and even chargers for that matter that we come across. But with the Quasar Cannon, it feels like you have to run a 500 kg if you want to reliably kill multiple Bile Titans or even just a Bile Titan and multiple chargers. So that's just my opinion on it. You can't change my mind. Go ahead and comment down below on the hot take. Against bots, on the other hand, I will put it above the spear. I'll even put it up above the EAT. Now, the reason for this is because I stress tested it again on the defense mission. Now, for this defense mission, we did not bring anything else other than the Quasar Cannon. We only brought the Quasar Cannon, and not even everyone on the squad brought it. And honestly, it performed just fine in that defense mission. I will say we definitely shot it a lot less than the Recoilless Rifle, but in the first half of the mission, it did hold its own. Another thing I'll say is that multiple Hulks did sneak through that front gate a lot more than noticeable, but we just threw a couple stuns and then the Autocannon player took them out. And in the second half of that mission, I called down my second Quasar Cannon and then I had the double Quasar thing going and it felt a lot better at that point. What I will say is even with double Quasar, it still shoots slower than a single Recoilless Rifle, let alone a Recoilless Rifle team reload. So I do think that this gun is worse than the Recoilless Rifle even against bots, but I'm not calling this gun bad. I'm just saying if it was bad, I would truly put it in the average tier or I would truly put it in the bad tier. It is a fine weapon that you can use if you still like this gun, but I do think it has some very noticeable downsides in comparison to a dedicated anti-tank launcher, such as the Recoilless Rifle. So this is my tier list for bugs where I think a variety of different support weapons in a team is good to bring. Diversify your loadouts and squads. I think any of these upper tiers, the only tier I wouldn't recommend bringing is this subpar one. All of these upper weapons are good in squads. Now, try to focus more towards the top 3, but I do think one person on the squad bringing a bile spewer / mobbing weapon will definitely give great utility, especially the autocannon, since it can take down shrieker nests and then you don't have to get close to them, and all it takes is a couple ammo packs to refill it, which is a lot easier than stratagems or trying to run in there and set off a hell bomb. For bots, on the other hand, it's really these top 2 tier of weapons I would recommend. Now, in a long form mission, I would say 3 people bring armor pierce 4 weapons, 1 person bring an anti-tank weapon, but on defense missions, 3 people bring anti-tank weapons, 1 person brings a armor pierce 4 weapons. And again, like, you guys can use the railgun or some of the mobbing tiers, but I do think they have obvious downsides. Even my one friend, Lollersaurus, shout out to you, likes to bring the Airburst Launcher a lot. And realistically, you could run whatever you want in this game as long as you have a good team composition and you guys know how to play around your weaknesses. But as always, this is all my opinion, so let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. I'm out.